Konnichiwa, Pakusetachi. I'm Puppy-Sensei, the Puppy Girl Japanese teacher VTuber of Irium US. I make Japanese language content to help you level up your abilities. I hope you've had a really lovely week. For today, we're going to focus on the grammar point mama. It's important that we do not get this grammar point confused with the Japanese word mama, which means, it's alright, so-so. But this grammar point isn't mama, it's totally awesome! This mama form is all about leaving something exactly the way it is. It expresses a lack of change. We can use this form to talk about something being the same way as it always was, but we also see it used in cases where we might want to say that something is acceptable just the way it is. It's just fine and you don't have to change it. Let's look at an example like this first. Koko, samuku nai? So this is a question that might be asked by somebody who maybe comes into the room and is wondering if that room is too cold for you. Maybe they're worried that you are uncomfortable because they think the room might be too cold for you. Koko, samuku nai? It's almost, because the adjective form here is kunai, it almost feels like a rhetorical question. Like, don't you think it's too cold in here? Or isn't it too cold in here for you? Koko samuku nai? And then the response that we're getting back from the second person is, iie, sono mama de yoi. No, it's fine just the way it is. You don't have to change anything. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it is perfect just the way it is. Sono mama de yoi. Fine like this. We could think about this like you're at a restaurant and maybe the waitress asks you if you want cheese on your pasta. So she might come by with the cheese grater thingy and she says, "Cheese ga hoshii? Do you want cheese?" But if you didn't want any cheese because you like your pasta just the way it is, then you might say, "Sono mama de ii." Sono mama de ii. It's fine like this. You don't have to change anything. I don't need cheese on it. Sono mama de ii. Fine the way it is. But you also might want to say something like, "It's edible like this," or "I can eat it the way that it is." To do this, you can add the concept of something being edible with a verb in place of ii. So, sono mama de ii is going to become sono mama de taberemasu. At this point, you might be wondering about the sono in sono mama de. What's the that we're referring to, and when might you want to change that and use instead kono or ano in place of sono, right? Well, actually, that has to do with agency. In the examples that we've seen so far, we've been thinking about situations where someone else has some agency to control things. They are coming in and saying, "Did you want me to change the temperature? Do you want me to put cheese on your pasta?" And then you're responding that they can leave things the way that they are. And that's why we end up with sono mama de ii. It's okay to leave it as it is. You don't have to change anything. But what if we flip the script? So maybe your waitress is asking you, "Did you want cheese?" or "Are you okay as is?" Well, if so, then she might say something like, "Cheese ga hoshii, mata wa kono mama de ii desu ka?" Did you want cheese, or can we leave it like it is? So then you might respond, sono mama de ii desu. Yeah, it's fine the way it is, right? So the kono in what she's saying is indicating that she's the one who has the agency to make the change or to not make the change in your pasta, right? So she's saying, "Kono mama de ii desu ka? Is it okay to leave it like this?" And then you are replying, sono mama de ii desu. Yeah, this is fine the way it is. You don't have to make any change. Now, it also makes sense as well that we can use mama to talk about being unable to do something without first making a change. So the mama itself is all about leaving it alone, but maybe you can't leave it alone. Maybe you have to make some kind of change before you can do something else. Perhaps you tried to enter some really nice venue, but you were dressed in a way that didn't really match the vibes of the place, like a nice restaurant and you're dressed down. Well, at the door, you might be told, そのままでここに入れない. You can't come in here looking like that, right? You can't come in here that way. そのままで in that way, ここに入れない. You can't come in here. You have to make a change first before you can do something else. And because mama itself simply means leaving things the way they are, we could form a sentence like this one using the negative form of a verb, right? 音楽を聞こえないまま勉強できないよ. I'm unable to study in the state of not listening to music. In other words, I need to make a change, and the change is that I need to be able to listen to music, and until I do that, I can't study. This sentence structure follows the format, I can't do something without first changing something else about either myself or my environment. I have to make a change before I can complete my action. But the same structure can also imply leaving something unfinished or incomplete, as in this sentence. 昨日の夜、晩ご飯を食べないまま寝てしまった. I went to bed last night without finishing dinner. 昨日の夜、晩ご飯を食べないまま寝てしまった. The nai form here is implying more or less that something could have been left unresolved or unchanged, right? And so something happened, 寝てしまった, I went to bed, without doing something else first. 晩ご飯を食べないまま, right? I went without finishing eating and then went to bed, right? Okay. The last thing that I want to say about this mama form is that we can use the mama form with nouns and adjectives. This allows us to make sentences where it's okay to leave things in their current state, or describe them as still some quality, remaining in that quality. For example, いつものまま, the same as it ever was. But remember, because いつも is a noun, we need to use no to connect いつも with mama. いつものまま, the same as it's always been, right? That's how it has always been. With adjectives, you're most often going to use this mama form to be talking about something that you want the state of it to persist, or perhaps something is happening in the state where something is still in some way, right? Just like 天気が寒いまま, while the weather is cold. So something happens while it's still cold out. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to leave this as is for now. Hopefully you learned a little bit about how to use the mama grammatical form to talk about leaving things the way they are. All right, Wheel of Grammar time. Let's see what we get. It looks like daro. We should definitely learn about daro next week. Look forward to it. I'll see you then. また来週!
Thanks for watching. I'm glad you watched until the end. You can find my other content here. Also, it would make me really happy if you would check out jinxedgaming.com. If you're into zero-calorie gaming fuel and Oshi cups, you will love their products. Puppy-Sensei recommends the tangy strawberry flavor. It's so yummy. Remember to use code SENSEI at checkout for 10% off your order. Can't wait to see you next time. またね!